Welcome to a deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really profound and ancient text, one that cuts right to the core of, well, what it means to be human. It's the Sallasutta, often known as the Arrow Sutta.
Hmm.
And this isn't just some historical document. It's a stark, almost raw, honest look at universal truths. Life, death, and how we navigate loss.
Right. And our mission for this deep dive is really to try and extract the timeless wisdom that's embedded in these verses. Because despite its ancient origins, the source material, it speaks with incredible clarity.
It really does.
It offers powerful, maybe even challenging insights into how we navigate the inevitable impermanence of existence and the suffering that often comes with loss. It's a text that I think invites deep personal reflection.
Yeah, definitely. You'll discover that this sutta, it doesn't really shy away from laying out some, let's say, undeniable facts about our shared human condition. But crucially, it doesn't just leave us there, right? Instead, it guides us towards a surprising, maybe even counterintuitive path to peace. So get ready to unpack some concepts that might just fundamentally shift your perspective on how we confront the most difficult moments in life. Okay, so let's start unpacking this. We've all faced those moments where life felt profoundly uncertain, maybe where loss loomed large.
Absolutely.
The Sallasutta doesn't shy away from this universal human experience. I mean, it confronts it head-on right from the very first verses.
Right away.
It hits us immediately with this unvarnished truth. Life is uncertain, unknown, short, and importantly, bound up with suffering.
Yeah, no sugarcoating there.
No sugarcoating at all. What's remarkable here isn't just the bluntness, but how this ancient text, thousands of years later, still cuts through our modern tendency to maybe sort of sanitize vulnerability and death.
Yeah.
What do you think that directness achieves, beyond just stating a fact?
Well, it's a foundational shock, isn't it? It really strips away any illusions we might have about, perpetual security or endless life. By staring directly at these undeniable facts, as you put it, the Siddha isn't trying to depress us. I don't think that's the point. Rather, it aims to build a kind of stable understanding, a foundation upon which a different kind of peace can be found. One that isn't dependent on avoiding these realities. It states quite unequivocally that there's no means by which those who have been born will not die.
Wow.
This isn't presented as a maybe. It's like a fundamental law of existence, something we simply must reckon with.
And it uses these incredibly vivid images to paint that picture. For instance, it says, just as ripe fruits have the fear of falling early in the morning, so for mortals who are born, there is always the fear of death. It just captures that sense of fragility so powerfully.
Exactly. And then it draws another parallel comparing us to a potter's work.
Yeah.
Just as all earthen vessels made by a potter have their breaking as their end, so is the life of mortals. So this isn't just about individual fragility. It illustrates the predetermined end of all things born. It's a universal cycle.
Right. And beyond those individual analogies, the Sutta then kind of zooms out. It emphasizes the profound universality of death. It leaves absolutely no room for illusion, stating both young and old, both foolish and wise, all go to the power of death. All are subject to death. All. There's no exception. We intellectually know this, of course, but the Sutta doesn't just state it, it insists on it. How does that insistence prepare us for what comes next in the text?
That insistence, I think, it serves to completely remove any possibility of personal exemption. The feeling, this shouldn't happen to me.
Right.
It highlights that death isn't a personal failure or some unique tragedy, but actually an intrinsic part of the fabric of being. And the text points out that when people are seized by death and depart for the other world, no one, neither father protects his son, nor relatives their kin. There's this profound sense of individual passage, a journey taken alone despite all our connections.
And to really drive that home, it uses that powerful, almost unsettling analogy.
Yeah, that one's tough.
While kinsfolk are looking on and loudly lamenting, one by one, mortals are led away like a slaughtered bull. That image really sticks with you, doesn't it? It's harsh, but it forces you to confront the stark reality of that individual passage. Okay, so given all these, undeniable realities, what does the Sutta say about how we should react? It makes a very bold statement. Thus the world is afflicted by death and decay. Therefore the wise do not sorrow, having understood the nature of the world.
Right.
Now, for many, that might sound incredibly difficult, maybe even cold. Is the Sutta suggesting we just, suppress our feelings of loss? Or is there a deeper kind of understanding it's pointing to here?
That's such a crucial distinction. It's not about suppression, not about becoming unfeeling. It's more about transforming our relationship to emotion.
Okay.
The text argues that clinging to sorrow, wishing reality were somehow different, that actually amplifies suffering,
Uh,
which leads perfectly to the Sutta's next and perhaps its most challenging assertion. If we understand this nature of the world, why doesn't lamentation work? The text is quite explicit about this. It says, if by lamenting you could gain some advantage, the discerning person would do it.
right. Makes sense.
But by weeping in sorrow, one does not attain peace of mind. It completely flips our common assumption that deep grief is somehow productive or even necessary in a prolonged way.
In fact, it argues the exact opposite. It says his suffering increases, his body is harmed.
Yeah.
And physically, it notes, one becomes emaciated and discolored, harming oneself by oneself. It lays out a really direct consequence for clinging to that sorrow.
And crucially, the Sutta emphasizes that by that, the dead are not protected. Futile is lamentation.
That's a big one.
It is. It directly addresses that common, maybe often unspoken belief that our grief somehow helps or honors the departed. The Sutta states quite unequivocally that it does not.
So the core message here seems pretty clear. A living being, not abandoning sorrow, suffers still more. Grieving for the one who has passed away, he falls under the power of sorrow.
Exactly. It's not just unhelpful. It's presented as a cycle that actively perpetuates suffering for the living person.
Okay, so if lamentation isn't the answer, and in fact it makes things worse, what is the Sutta's proposed path to freedom? How do we get out of that cycle?
Well, it starts by encouraging observation.
Observation.
Yeah, it says, see others also going forth, people according to their deeds when they come under the power of death, agitated here, these living beings. It's about recognizing this universal experience in others, perhaps to gain some perspective on our own situation.
So shifting the focus outward a bit.
In a way, yes. And this next point is powerful because it challenges our personal sense of injustice and loss. The Sutta emphasizes that, by whatever way they imagine, from that it becomes otherwise, such is separation.
Say more about that.
It speaks directly to the unpredictable nature of loss, doesn't it? And how our expectations, our hopes for a different outcome, our plans, they're often thwarted. It's really a teaching on the utter lack of control we have over impermanence.
That makes sense. It reiterates this inevitability, too, saying even if a person lives for 100 years or more, he is separated from his kin and abandons life here. The message is stark. Separation is just built into existence. No escaping it.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the Sutta presents a very clear path forward. It says, therefore, having heard from the enlightened ones, one should remove lamentation, saying he cannot be obtained by me on seeing the deceased.
Right. So acceptance.
It's about accepting what cannot be changed, but crucially, not as a passive resignation, like giving up. It's framed as an active mental shift.
Okay.
The Sutta implies that resisting this fundamental truth, impermanence, separation, that's what generates the prolonged suffering. Whereas radical acceptance, as difficult as it might sound, is presented as the pathway to genuine peace of mind.
And it offers another really valid analogy for how this removal, this acceptance can happen.
Yes, the fire one.
Exactly. Just as a burning shelter is extinguished by water, so indeed a wise, intelligent, skillful person quickly dispels sorrow that has arisen, like the wind scatters cotton. This portrays a very active, almost immediate response. It suggests that wisdom itself is the tool, the water, to extinguish the fire of sorrow.
And this is where the title, The Arrow Sutta, becomes incredibly poignant.
Yes, the arrow.
The key insight is that one who desires their own happiness should pull out the arrow of sorrow, of lamentation, and personal distress. Sorrow is depicted not just as a feeling, but as this piercing arrow that, once it's embedded, causes continuous pain.
Like a festering wound.
Exactly. And the crucial point is that we have the power, the agency, to remove it. This arrow isn't just about the immediate sharp pain of grief, but also, as the Sutta implies, about the deeper suffering that comes from our clinging, our attachment to what is inherently impermanent. It aligns perfectly with a core insight in this tradition, that true peace comes from releasing that attachment, pulling out that arrow.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The Sutta concludes, having pulled out the arrow, unattached, having attained peace of mind, having overcome all sorrow, he becomes sorrowless, extinguished. It outlines this profound journey from immediate suffering, from being pierced by the arrow, to a state of lasting peace, a state of being sorrowless. So today we've taken a deep dive into the Sallasutta, really exploring its powerful, sometimes challenging insights into life, death, and the nature of sorrow.
Hmm.
The core message seems clear. While death is an undeniable, universal part of existence, endless lamentation clinging to that sorrow, it not only prolongs suffering, but, according to this text, serves no real purpose. Not for the living, not for the departed.
Right, and the wisdom here, it isn't about denying that initial sting of loss. It's not about being cold or unfeeling.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the futility of clinging to sorrow as a permanent state. It's about actively choosing to remove that arrow of clinging, of mental pain, and finding peace through a really radical acceptance of impermanence. It's quite a profound reorientation, actually, of how we perceive and experience loss.
It really is. We've seen how this ancient text, with its vivid analogies and stark truths, doesn't just describe a problem. It provides a challenging yes, but also a clear roadmap for cultivating peace of mind amidst the inevitable impermanence and challenges of life.
So as you reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this provocative thought. In a world that often validates, sometimes even encourages, prolonged public displays of grief, what might it truly mean from the Sita's perspective to pull out the arrow of sorrow, not for the sake of forgetting or intellectualizing it away, but genuinely for the sake of cultivating one's own profound, lasting peace, as this ancient text suggests? What might that actually look like in your own life?